Today we're doing section 4.7. We're talking about the quadratic formula. More specifically, today we're talking about the discriminant. Now, the discriminant of the quadratic formula, or quadratic equation, is the value of b squared minus 4ac. b squared minus 4ac shows up right here underneath the square root sign. So it's just that portion. Now, what that portion tells us is it tells us what type of solutions we're dealing with. So, for example, if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, which means it's positive, then we have two real solutions. Real means real numbers, okay? We have two real number solutions. And if we look over here at the graphical representation of this, we have our parabolas, and notice that this parabola is crossing the x-axis in two spots. There's our two solutions. And this parabola here is opening down, but it's still crossing the x-axis at two spots. So again, those are the real solutions they're talking about. Now, if our discriminant, or if b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, then that means our parabola is only touching the x-axis at one spot. It's called the vertex of the parabola, but again, that's sections ahead. So it's only touching the x-axis in one spot, giving us just one real solution. And again, we are talking real as in real numbers. And then lastly, if our discriminant is less than 0, which means that it's negative, then we have no real solutions. Now, again, we have solutions, but they're imaginary numbers, and we'll talk about those in a later lesson. So right now we have no real solutions, no real number solutions. So that's how we decide, and that's really all we're doing. We're not solving quadratic equations today. We are just deciding how many real solutions they're going to have. So let's take a look at an example. If we look at example number 1, what we first want to do is make sure that our quadratic equation is in standard form, which in this case it is. Remember, standard form for a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we're in that notation. We now need to identify our coefficients, our a, b, and c. So looking at example 1, a is 1, b is 5, c is 8. So we can take those three values and plug it into the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. And I like to go through and just do that with open parentheses. That way I know I'm substituting in properly. So b is what I plug into the first set of parentheses, so that's a 5. A into the second set, that's a 1. And 8, which is c, into the last set. So now it's a matter of order of operations. And the order of operations says we need to do our exponents first. So we're going to take 5 squared, which is 25. And then we have to do our multiplication before we do any addition or subtraction. So 4 times 1 times 8 is 32. And then we end up getting negative 7. That right there is our discriminant. Okay, now if you don't want to write out the word discriminant every time, that's fine. Just abbreviate it as disc. Okay, that's our discriminant. So, since our discriminant is negative, that means we have no real solutions. Let's take a look at number 2. In number 2, a is 1, b is negative 5, c is 4. So again, we plug into b squared minus 4ac. Give myself the open parentheses to plug into. So b is negative 5, a is 1, c is 4. Now, this is exactly why I give those open parentheses, because now I can see that that negative with the 5 is inside parentheses, so it's being squared as well. It's going along for the ride. So negative 5 times negative 5, we get positive 25. Minus 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. And so 25 minus 16 gives us 9. So that's our discriminant. And so therefore it's positive. We have 2 real solutions. Okay, let's try one more. Let's go down here to number 5. Now, in number 5, the first thing we need to do is make sure it's written in standard form. The last two are already there. Now, again, it doesn't matter what this equation looks like. It could be 4x equals negative 1 minus 4x squared, or it could be 0 equals negative 1 minus 4x squared, or, I mean, any combination of this, anything in any other order other than standard form. The first step you have to do is put it in standard form. You have to have it written as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 first. So that might involve some multiplication, some distributive properties, some adding or subtracting from the left side to the right side, things of that nature. Which, like in this case, to get it in standard form, we have to add 1 to both sides. So we get 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. And now we can identify a, b, and c. So a is 4, b is 4, c is 1. All right, there's our little equation for the discriminant. So b is 4, a is 4, c is 1. Multiplying this out, 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times 1 is 16. Now please remember that just because we have minus here in the original expression for the discriminant does not mean we're always going to have minus here. Okay? This minus down here can change to a plus if either a or c are negative, because then we're taking a negative 4 times another negative number, which would then make it plus. So keep that in mind. But right now we have 16 minus 16, which is 0. So that is our discriminant, which means we have 1 real solution. One thing to keep in mind, we are finding the number of solutions. We are not solving. This is not the value of x in our quadratic equation. This is simply the discriminant. This number simply tells us how many solutions, how many real solutions we have.